everyone, welcome to the Red Room and another Red release. So today, if you're seeing the video today, which you should of course, we released Agents of Red, the Second Coming. Can I still use the Second Coming, or is that just for man?
That's just for man. Agents of Red second edition. Agents of Red was just a tiny supplement about spies or secret agents, specifically designed to play agents of something called Red, which I'm not going to try to remember. It's an acronym for something.
It's there, right? But
yeah, it's in the book. It's kind of silly, but not as silly as the first one. I will read it after when I share the screen. But this one is not quite that. Now the setting was expanded. It's just not for playing. You still can play Agents of Red, hence the name still the same. But you can play in a different environment. Okay, I'm going to share the screen.
Are you telling me this is no longer silly?
No, it's still silly, but not as silly as the first one. Okay, so um, this is the cover, of course.
I like it.
This could have been a cover because it's a little bit more realistic, obviously, but it's not. So, Agents of Red means War Reconnaissance Espionage Tactical Command Headquarters. This is the second version or the third version of this acronym. I can remember the first one as well, but it was stranger than this one. Okay. So as I was saying, it can be played in a place that city-state called Eisenstadt, which is a fictional place between Western and Eastern Germany and Czechoslovakia, which is no longer Czechoslovakia, but okay, that at the time it was. And that is the place that you should play if you are using the game, the game book. It's one of those fictional cities like Amityville and Sand Cove and Avalidad, though Avalidad is kind of real, but not exactly.
Yes.
And as the other books, you have some rules changes. You have an origin, a slightly different origin, a slightly different life path. Something that was introduced in, I think it was Conspiracies. Yeah, it was Project Conspiracies, which is the Allegiance. The Allegiance is not rules related. It's just a series of secret agencies in this case. In Conspiracies, it was basically the same thing. Some information, real world information about several. Not all. So you have Securitate and Stasi,
but you have Red there.
But you have also Red because it's also a possibility if you want to play a Red, an agent of Red, even in the more serious setting, you can also do it. In that case, Red will be a privately owned secret organization specialized in covert operations, covert missions. A bit like it could be if you want to play something more serious but still silly, it would be like Archer. They are silly, but the rest of the people is more serious than them. Well, maybe not the rest of all the people, but well, they are sillier than most people.
Yes, some of the other characters that appear now and then as guests, they are a little bit more serious.
Yeah, so slightly more serious. And the world is a serious world. Serious in terms of it's a real world. Okay, as usual, there are more archetypes, new archetypes, obviously related to these agencies. So you can. This is just a few examples because it's impossible to cover everything here. I use more for Red agents because it's still called Agents of Red. Vehicle combat is not new. This has already been used in, at least in Days of Lead.
I like that the background
Oh yeah.
and the effect while you move pages.
Hmm.
Groovy.
The vehicle says the same thing. Yeah, there are some new vehicles. In this case, not new, old vehicles, because this is again the setting takes place in the past,
Mhm.
so in the Cold War. It's not supposed to be a recent
That's
or a
why
recent event.
it's somewhere in Central Europe.
Yeah, and that's why there are agencies like KGB
Hmm.
and Securitate and
I thought that was because we are fascists. Oh, I can make jokes about this thing. Sorry.
you can, but KGB doesn't exist anymore. It has another name.
Hmm.
I think it's FSB. Um, more stuff for vehicles, in this case military vehicles, and there's this
Hmm.
part obviously is new, spycraft. This is basically the same thing as forensics, forensics rules and investigation rules, but adapted to spies. So there are some tables for random operations and adaptations of skills. Uh, or in this case, well, there are specializations for skills.
It makes sense.
Also, new tables for carousing,
Browsing
which
as
is
spies.
yeah, so which is an important part of a spy's life. New gadgets and weapons. Some of them were already in the first book. The vehicles also. These are the special vehicles. Okay, that have their special attributes. The list of adversaries is mostly human foes because they are spies and
Hmm.
military men and all that. But there's also other stuff. Now we come into the setting, Eisenstadt. Eisenstadt is organized like the other fake cities. You have some historical background and cultural and economic and political background. Um, not lots of information because this is just um, a fictional city, obviously, but it's inspired by Berlin and Prague. It has some characteristics from both places. It should feel like Berlin in the Cold War, even though it's not divided in two. Simply, it is right in the border between Germany and Czechoslovakia. In this case, it has border for
Hmm.
Western Germany and Eastern Germany. It's in the middle of the three, and it has but the feeling of it should be a little more like an Eastern
Hmm.
Bloc country, even though the names are in German. Um, this is supposed to be an independent country or city state, but it's a country.
Yeah, one
Uh,
of those little city states from
yeah,
that exist in Europe.
well, in this case, one that doesn't
Mm.
exist. So,
Yes.
so it's there. It's supposed to be a place where spies meet and plan stuff and organize operations. And it has kept its independence because both countries need it to do some dirty work. Other than that, it's an historical place, and there are some tourists there, so it's some to make it a little bit more of a cosmopolitan place. So it's not supposed to be an entirely dreary
Mhm.
place. It's supposed to have some fun and nightlife and all that.
Does it have castles, or at least one castle?
Yeah, there's one
Okay.
castle. Yeah, there's one castle. There's one castle. There's an historical part of the city. Well, it's all historical because it's an
Hmm.
old place, an old city. Um, these are the neighborhoods or quarters. The usual thing, a little bit of description, just a paragraph, some key places in each of the neighborhoods, which are like a museum or a theater or cafe or an hotel or a nightclub or something else, or just an area. Uh, And then table of events where you roll if you want to roll randomly for events in the specific locale in each of the neighborhoods. After that, you have an adventure generator, which is a series of tables which you can use to prepare a mission. You have an objective, you have locations and rewards and antagonists and agendas, and then you have some preparation for this, intelligence quality, equipment and resources that the, the agency has gifted to the or lent to the agents. And then you go into the mission itself, the complications that can arise, interactions that might be useful or not, plot twists, how much the enemy will respond, or how with well, what kind of response will be, and then other uh, events that could also happen at the same time, political intrigue and global events. Then there's a few plot hooks, but not really developed. This is just small plot hooks. There's also Ratchet factions adapted to this setting. Not all Ratchet factions are here. Some of them wouldn't fit. You have the usual ones. This one is kind of not always appears, but
Mhm.
in this case it could. It's not really old, and this kind of paranormal stuff could be used here. The Arachnid Brotherhood is almost everywhere, and it makes sense. Burroughs Tech
Mhm.
doesn't appear everywhere, but in this case, yeah, why not? They can do gadgets and all that stuff. Daughters of Xenia are basically everywhere, and they are here too, and the Deva. The followers of Cedric as well. The Zip, obviously. They are doing investigation with psychics, and that's something that both the KGB and the CIA are also doing. Loop Garou could be an interesting
Mhm.
usage in this.
Werewolves in the
Also,
Cold War.
yeah, it makes me think about Clive Barker and
Mhm.
one short story. So that one, it's not mentioned here, but it's a possible adventure for this setting. Or locales as well. The Society, Travel Society. These two, Veil Syndicate is a was introduced in the Ratchet Conspiracy, and Ratchet Conspiracies in this one have
Mhm.
some points of connection. Reset is not here because Reset was born in the first one,
Mhm.
so it's uh, after this. So in this case, it's not actually a well, it is at the same time it's a Ratchet faction, but it was a Agents of Ratchet faction.
Mhm.
Now this chapter here is stuff that was from the first book. So from page 146 on, it's mostly things that were already covered by the first, but now they are. There was some stuff here that wasn't entirely adapted from the first version. I was taking notes for that, and I changed the thing, but exactly it's almost the same thing. The agents are people that work for Agents of Wretch, and they are described here. Then you have code names and the descriptions of the cabals. So you have the same ones, drug tigers and the flaming anti-Castro Cubans, and the Mozambique Zebra Patrol, which is my favorite because I can do this still in illustrations. Well, in this case, it's a photograph. Here's Reset
Mhm.
and the other one. So there's a few nemesis for the characters and uh, and some random tables. I think there's something new here, I guess. Yeah, there were some adjustments made here. The tables were smaller than what they are now, so even this part is a little bit different.
Expanded.
Yeah, the tables were D6 or D10, I think. Now they most of them are D20, and there are some examples of using them here to create nemesis, assistants, and well, different types of assistants. Mutant assistants in common people as collect this one. And this is a character sheet as usual. And
Okay,
that's it.
140 something pages.
93.
Okay, yeah, because I was looking at the end of the.
Yeah. So it's not one of the biggest settings. It doesn't have to be really. This is kind of a well, being a real world, and at the same
Mhm.
time, Cold War doesn't that much information, and also you can cross it with conspiracies.
Mhm.
There are some information there that I didn't put here
That will be
because
just a repetition.
yeah, well, there are some repetitions still, but it would be too much to include here the psychic stuff, which is important, I guess, uh,
Not crucial. Yeah.
but not crucial. And even the aliens and all that
I think it
can
also
be
could go conjugated with Days of Lead, with some of the things of the Days of Lead.
some of the things, some of the rules were adapted here, the vehicle rules. The rest, yeah, it's I guess a person who is going to play Days of Lead could also play this one,
Hmm.
and yeah, there's some information there.
They have some similar feel. Feel, I would say. I would say that
Yeah,
not
both
exactly, but
both in Europe. There's some
you understand
political
what I mean, right? There's the
there's
tone.
there's a political connection and all the time is included,
Mhm.
right? Days of Lead is a 70s setting. This one is a little bit more. You can start in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, or even the 80s.
Yeah, so we
Of
could start in Days of Lead and then go to
or before or
or
start before.
before, yes, and
I guess you could start this. I wouldn't play this in the 50s, probably maybe 60s or 70s. But you could play it in the 50s as well. So the Cold War starts in
mhm.
48, I guess. It ends in the 90s, but in this case, I stopped it at 89. So there's no really new stuff there. So it will still be a kind of a past setting where you don't have computers or rarely have computers. Well, maybe you have computers, but it's large stuff.
You love not allowing your players to have computers
Yeah, or cell phones.
or cell phones, especially cell phones.
So you can deliver the missions in a tape. Those that
That will
self-destruct.
self-destruct,
Yeah,
yeah.
one of those tape recorders boxes. Not really portable. Well, they were portable, but not too much. So this is I think this is the last one that will be adapted at least.
Well, there's the talk about red exploitation. What's going to happen with it? Well, let's
Yes,
see.
but that was already a setting in the first place. So I don't know what's going to happen to that one. But okay, so furries will not have a second edition.
Hmm.
Um, the what was called the pirate one was
Scurvy, but that was
Scurvy.
included. So some of the
Yeah,
information in both furries and Scurvy, or
yes,
included on the Bastards, the second
exactly,
edition.
exactly. I think perhaps everything or almost everything. So those
Yeah.
those will not have an expanded version. They were already used or something else. And I think that's
Hmm.
it, right? Uh, I don't think there's another source book like that. So okay, we've done it. Second
Now we
edition,
can close.
the first chapter. Now it's all everything is second chapter. You can still buy the first chapter. Uh, most things are still available, even though I'm starting to clear them from the
Mhm.
printing.
Yeah, because you don't want someone buying an older version by
Yeah.
mistake.
Well, if you buy a PDF by mistake, it can be easily solved. I can just
Hmm.
give you the other one. But if you buy a book, I can't do anything about it. So I'm going to retire the print versions. Um, but the PDFs are still available. And this is our news for today.
Hmm.
This will have also a print version, of course, and I'm going to order the proof copy now, and also the Wretched Man
Hmm.
proof copy. So those will be coming.
I was thinking, what was the other one? Yeah, that should be
So those two are
coming.
still miss. Those two are still missing, and they will be ready for print in 2 weeks, maybe around that, depending on the delivery time. And I think that's everything for today.
Okay, so stay tuned for more.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.